It's great having you with me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. Today we're going to talk about nurturing honesty. I know that if you've heard me ever, you probably have some understanding of how much honesty means to me. I'm going to give you an honest statement. I love rainy days. It is pouring here and sometimes thundering and lightning. If you hear that, that's awesome because honestly, I don't like anything better than a rainy day, especially if I get to have a cup of hot chocolate and a book in my hand, which maybe I'll do that after a while. There's a very fine line in your child's life between sheltering or protecting them from things they're not ready for yet and locking them up in a box because you're reluctant to talk about that. You don't really want to have to address those kinds of things, or you don't know how. So you just keep your kid in the dark entirely. There's a balance in there. And all along, the farther we go into this series about parenting, we're going to continue to address the balancing act that is required of being a very effective parent. It is a tough thing. I don't have any answers. Not to tell you just exactly what to say and just what not to say and what age to say it and when not. I can't say that to you because every single child is an individual. I'll tell you that with my one son, I could tell him things far earlier than my other son because he has an entirely different kind of emotional makeup and he could handle it. My other son couldn't handle it. Even when I did tell my other son a couple years later than his brother, he still got really angry. He was still really frustrated. He had the tools with which to deal with his emotional state, but it hit him differently and it was more difficult for him to handle honesty. I say all that to you because in teaching your child, in nurturing your child's level of honesty, there are not hard and fast rules or directions I can give to you and say, when your child's 6, you can tell this to him, and when she's 9, you can tell this to her. It's not like that. This is a matter of you developing as a parent, developing in your skills, and also as you grow in your understanding of your child and keep looking at your child, you have to be able to assess when they're ready. If you start to talk about something and they get really awkward or they have this very perplexed look on their face or they're literally giving you body language that's communicating that I am not ready to handle this, then okay, great, stop. Just stop. It's all right. And so it's kind of a delicate dance. Let's talk about nurturing honesty in a little one, okay? And here's one of the ways I'll do it. I'm telling you right off the bat, people have fought with me about my parenting methods. I don't care if you disagree with me. I'm really comfortable with it. But I'm going to tell you what I did. I'm going to tell you that it worked. I'll even go into detail with you about why that worked. Okay. So, I told you my kids and I bake cookies just about every day, or brownies or cupcakes. We really love to eat. And I would just make small batches so that we were in the kitchen and they got fresh stuff a lot. I would literally tell them after they had a cookie with a glass of milk or hot chocolate, you can't have any of this until after dinner. This is dessert. It's not for now. And intentionally, I mean it, I would put a plate out where they could reach it with 2 or 3 cookies on it. I knew exactly what was on it. So if something disappeared, and I have a good eye for detail, so I even knew if they'd touched them and were tempted and moved them around but didn't eat them, I knew everything about that plate. I put it where they could get to it. I did. Now I'm tempting them right in their face. I'm talking 2, 3, 4. I did this. And I would come back. And usually, they didn't do it. They really knew the rules and they were good about following them. But occasionally, depending on which kind of cookie it was or how tempting it was, or sometimes they would go. I would say, who ate the cookie? Kid you not. Of course, they're little kids. We would start at the beginning. I don't know. Wasn't me. Must have been David. Must have been Marcus. You know that I didn't do it. I know the rules. Okay, well, I know we don't have cookie elves at our house. So I guarantee you someone ate that cookie. And it wasn't me. So now we're going to do sit down in the chair. Because until someone tells me, nobody's going anywhere. I don't care what plans we had. If we're going to go to the park, if we're going to walk to the store, whatever we're doing, we're not doing it. Everyone's going to sit. We're going to wait for someone to be honest. I am not the world's most patient human. And when I was younger, whoa, yeah, I was not patient. I mean, 2 or 3 minutes would go by. I would be, I'm going to use the truth because I already told you that, I wasn't great when they were little. I would be badgering them. Okay, one of y'all ate this cookie. Who ate this cookie? I am tired of y'all not being willing to tell me. If you tell the truth, you're not even going to get a whooping. You're not really going to get in trouble. I need to hear who ate this cookie. Well, sometimes they knew me. They could hear that as threatening. It would push them the other way. So my point being, if you tend to be kind of impatient, learn how to breathe and learn to keep your mouth shut. And I still have to do this sometimes, even now, as much as I've learned patience. I'll be talking with someone and they're at a really radically different pace than I am. And I want to hear it and they're not giving it to me. And I'm not doing this externally because I really have a control of my body. But internally, sometimes I'm like, tap my foot and, holy Hannah, can you just come on? I mean, yeah, that sort of impatient part of me sometimes, mostly not, will rear its ugly head. And it was bad when my kids were little. Just admitting. And so you need to be able to say, who did this? And expect honesty out of them. I can honestly say within about maybe a year, yeah, it probably took a year. I would do this reasonably often. I mean, like once or twice a week. Till it got to the place where my sons could literally just be honest with me. In other words, I was nurturing honesty. Who wants to admit that they did wrong? Who wants to admit that they didn't follow the rules? Who wants to admit that they had no business doing what you just said don't do? Nobody I ever met. Assuredly, no little kid I ever knew. Nurturing honesty is giving them a chance to mess up, because everybody does. Giving them the opportunity to admit to what they did, honestly. Mom, I ate the cookie. Then I really got smart and I'd say, did you eat it all by yourself? Like, did you take it in the bathroom or in the bedroom? Or did you share it with your brother? Then I'd see this. Both of them. Because sometimes they were tricky enough for one to talk the other one into taking the cookie so that they were going to have to be honest. But it really actually was a matter of collusion. Like, okay, you take the cookie, but I want you to give me some of it. Yeah. Okay. So this is about knowing your kids and getting wise enough to address things with them. Okay. Yeah. So I was nurturing honesty. One of the other ways I nurtured honesty, and boy, people had fits with this one. If you come and tell me the truth, there's going to be no punishment involved. I don't care how severe what you did was. You come and tell me the truth about it before I ever find out, there is no discipline that's going to happen. And I lived by that rule. My kids will tell you this to this day. I was very consistent about that. And they understand how vital the truth and being honest, being able to speak the truth really is and was to me. That was the way I nurtured honesty in my children. Another way to nurture honesty is be honest yourself. As we have discussed previously, but if you're brand new, you haven't heard this. When you mess up, you're having a rough day and you're just yelling and screaming and ranting and raving and it's just not a good day and oh my word, you're slamming things around the kitchen. You need to look at your child and you need to tell her in no uncertain terms, I acted very badly today. You know it and I know it. I had no business talking like that, raising my voice, slamming stuff around. I can be angry, but I don't need to act like a jerk just because I'm having a bad day. And today, I was a jerk. I was a jerk when I yelled and screamed at you. I was a jerk when I lost my cool. Just admit the truth to your kids. Be honest with them. That nurtures honesty back. Everybody messes up, okay? As an adult, when you can freely admit that you are human and you didn't do it well, they find out that humans make mistakes. Okay, so I can admit when I don't do it well or when I make a mistake. Okay, I'll tell you one. I was really bad for this when I was younger because I'd get yelled and screamed at so much, and I just can't stand getting yelled and screamed at and insulted and verbally assaulted. One time I banged into something with the car. I didn't tell my husband about that. What happened to this? I have no idea. I was not honest. Oh, my word, that stayed with me a long time. My kids knew I wasn't honest. It's fascinating. My one son told me when he was a teenager, he goes, Mom, I totally know why you never said that to Dad, and I don't blame you. But that wasn't good because I knew you lied. That's what I mean. Your kids are always watching and paying attention, and that was not a good example. And I apologized to him and owned up to that. But it was years later. I'm telling the truth to you right here and now because I didn't want to get yelled at and screamed at and cussed at. Yeah, I just didn't want to deal with that. But you're showing your child how to be honest. And when you do that, you're nurturing honesty in your child. So I don't think I handled that well when I was younger. Today, I would own up and tell the truth about it, and I would take what happened as a result of that. And my kids would understand that even if the consequences are difficult or even dire, that honesty is still the best thing. Now let me say this to you. It's not good to just spill your guts all over the place and tell everything. That's not honesty. That's dumping. Those are not the same. All right? So you have teenagers, especially, they're always trying to one-up each other and tell each other a bigger, better story. And, for me, that was kind of easy because, oh, my word, I really had a crazy life. I could tell some wild stories. Mostly they were true. Maybe some embellishment, but, honey, I really had some stories that were for real. People didn't believe me that they were real, but they actually were. You want to encourage your kids to, as accurately as possible, report what really happened, and then to tell you about their true feelings in response to it. They can dump on you. That's a safe place. You probably want to hear it, actually. They don't need to do it elsewhere. I have a son who speaks publicly quite a bit, and I remember one time I heard him speak, and thereafter he and I sat down. He said, "What'd you think, Mom? How was it?" And I said, "You do not have to say everything that you know." It was difficult for me to tell him that because I didn't figure he was going to receive it super well at the time. And he actually did better than I thought. But now, years later, he has told me that that was some of the best counsel I ever gave to him. So you can teach your child that honesty is saying what you really think and feel and saw and did. But you don't have to tell everything you know. You're not hiding stuff, but in certain circumstances with some people, it's not dishonest to keep your mouth shut. So again, there are many implications of teaching your child to be honest and nurturing that honesty in his or her life. Let me tell you that when your child is honest with you, if you criticize them, you jump on their case, you lose your cool. Mom, I got drunk at this party last night. What? I told you that's not good. And, oh my goodness, you're only 14 years old. And what were you thinking? You're never going to hang out with those kids again. Mom, Dad, you just blew it. That kid is probably not going to tell you anything for the next 3 or 4 years. Don't do it. Okay? That's why we're talking now. Have it in your head. I don't care what your kid says to you. Keep your cool. Because you want to nurture and foster an honest relationship. That means when they tell you the really hard things, you got to handle it. We're going to end today with a really funny story. I love this one. My son went to a high school dance and he wasn't allowed to date. And he danced with this girl that he always really thought was so pretty. Come home from the dance and he says to me, "Mom, I did not know girls' breasts were that soft." I didn't lose it or anything. But oh my word, because I was so taken aback, I never said a word to him. Fast forward about 10 years. So I have this misconception for 10 whole years, thinking that my son somewhere, anyway. I said something to him about one of the most shocking things you ever said to me was, "You didn't know girls' breasts were so soft." And he goes, "Mom, did you think I felt that, girl?" And I said, "Yeah, dude, how come you think I was dead silent?" And he starts laughing. He goes, "Mother, we were dancing." Oh my word. We both still laugh about this one because I didn't clarify, because really it was all I could do just to keep my cool. And I did keep my cool, but I didn't ask any more questions. So he was honest with me. I really misunderstood. Okay. I just tell that story to you because sometimes in being honest with other people, they might not get the message that we're trying to give. And I want you to know that even when your children are honest with you, you might not get all the information or have understood the full message. So, even in an honest relationship, there are still misunderstandings and pitfalls. Don't let that freak you out, okay? Your challenge for today is to look at your life. Am I an honest person? Am I nurturing honesty in my child? It's probably a lot more challenging than most of us think, but it's a very worthwhile endeavor as a parent to nurture honesty in your relationship with your child. It has been so good having you with me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. Once again, feel very free to go to our website, send me an email, ask me a question in the comments down below. Thank you for being with me. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.